Showtime buried a Dexter prequel that would have changed everything, and the reason they killed it is something they never wanted you to know. Not Dexter, New Blood, not Original Sin. This was a different project, developed years before either of those, built around the one relationship that made Dexter Morgan who he was. His father, Harry, and the boy he quietly trained to kill for reasons the audience was never allowed to fully question. Because the Harry Morgan you saw in flashbacks wasn't the whole story. The version Showtime nearly put on air showed you the man underneath the code, and the deal that buried it had nothing to do with ratings. It was about protecting a legacy the network had spent a decade building. That's the part nobody explained. And the reason it died is worse than a scheduling conflict. It started in early 2014, less than a year after Dexter's series finale aired to what can only be described as open revolt. Fans hated the ending. Critics called it a betrayal. Showtime needed a win, and executives began quietly floating the one idea guaranteed to bring the audience back without technically continuing the story everyone was mad about. Go backward. Show young Dexter. Show Harry Morgan building the code from scratch, teaching a traumatized child how to survive his own instincts. Original series showrunner Clyde Phillips was approached informally about consulting. The pitch had a title, a tone, and a built-in audience of millions. By late 2014, it wasn't just a pitch anymore. Sources close to the development process say a writer's room was staffed, a Bible was drafted covering 3 seasons, and Showtime's programming chief at the time gave verbal approval to move toward a pilot order, the stage where a network commits real money to actually shoot an episode. Casting lists circulated for a 10-year-old to play young Dexter and an actor to anchor the show as Harry. Budget estimates for Season 1 reportedly topped $28 million, aggressive for a character-driven drama in 2015. Internally, the working title was Code. People who read the Bible called it the most emotionally honest thing the franchise had ever attempted, because for the first time, Harry wasn't a moral compass. He was a father making a choice that would haunt him. But a show like this doesn't just need a green light. Needs the network to stay convinced it's worth the risk, and by mid-2015, that conviction started cracking. Showtime's leadership was in the middle of merger talks that would eventually reshape the entire company, and every unproven project got quietly reevaluated against safer bets already on the schedule. A prequel meant recasting Dexter and Harry with unknowns, asking audiences to invest in actors who weren't Michael C. Hall or James Remar. Research testing came back mixed. And the writer's room, according to 2 people who worked in it, kept circling back to a version of Harry so flawed that some executives worried it would retroactively damage the original show's most beloved character. Remember that greenlight, the writer's room, the $28 million budget? Here's where it actually died. Because the official explanation when Code quietly disappeared from Showtime's internal slate in early 2016 was creative differences. That's not what killed it. What killed it was success, just not the show's. Showtime's original Dexter finale, despite the backlash, had continued generating massive licensing revenue through syndication and international sales, all built on the character's mythology staying exactly as fans remembered it. A prequel that reframed Harry as complicit, even cruel, threatened that revenue stream directly. One former Showtime staffer put it bluntly: the show wasn't too dark for television. It was too dark for the licensing deal. Executives weren't protecting Dexter's story. They were protecting the version of it they could keep selling. There was a second, quieter reason. Michael C. Hall's return to the role in any form, even executive producing a prequel he wasn't in, required a negotiation Showtime didn't want to open before they knew what they were building. Rather than risk a costly standoff, the project was shelved indefinitely, its writers reassigned, its Bible archived. 6 years later, Showtime built New Blood instead, a continuation, not an origin story, and safer for exactly the reasons Code wasn't. If Code had made it to air, the entire Dexter timeline afterward would look different. New Blood might never have existed in its place. Original Sin, the prequel Showtime finally did make in 2024, would have arrived into a landscape where audiences already knew a darker, more complicated Harry Morgan, changing how forgiving they were of everything that came after. Instead, an entire generation of the story was quietly erased before a single frame was shot. So the next time you watch Harry Morgan hand his son a set of rules in a flashback, ask yourself what version of that scene never made it to your screen, and what else Showtime decided you were better off not knowing.